Richmond, Virginia, a town that has long been home to a rich and energetic music scene, with venues and audiences for all kinds of music. The cultural and artistic community of the city is fueled largely by the urban population surrounding Virginia Commonwealth University. The music fans are especially supportive of new and original music. Local bands committed to writing and performing original music often find enthusiastic audiences who appreciate their efforts. One such band is the Silo Effect. In July of 2010, Silo Effect went into the studio to record their first CD, entitled Treehouse. They chose Sound of Music recording studios located in downtown Richmond. The grungy, eclectic, urban atmosphere of Sound of Music studios suited the personal style of the band, but primarily it was the equipment and the sound of the studio that led to the band's decision to record there. The question remained how well the band would transition from performing live to the demands of the recording studio.
We're more of a live band up until now, and for us to be recorded and under the microscope this harshly, it's kind of, you got to review how you're going about what you're doing.
Able to create that good, loose, improv feel, but also keeping it very tight. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Locking it in, keeping that groove.
Even though the band was somewhat unsure of their skills for this project, they were determined to produce the best recording they could over the next 3 days, a recording they hoped would take Silo Effect to the next level.
All right. Ready to knock your stuff out?
The goal for today is to get at least 5 songs done. And then we're doing overdubs tomorrow, then mix the next day.
We set out here to record a 5-track EP. It's been long awaited. It's kind of our roots album.
We came in the studio to just really play catch up, honestly, at this point. We've written a lot of music beyond these particular tunes.
These are our older songs. They're among the first that we wrote.
The ones we're recording in this project, they're kind of special to us because they're the first seed of what this band was. On the most basic level, this is where Silo came from, and these are the tunes that we took to bars in Richmond and people liked them, and we started working on them more.
This was all written in the first year that the band was playing together.
We haven't really shown them to anybody yet, so that's something I always try to keep in mind. We need to document and put down, record as much as possible, just to share it with somebody that might like it. That's what we're here for.
The last one we do a full measure of 4/4 for the drop down. I just keep missing it. It's my fault. I'm always late, man.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
All right, you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right.
Count us off, read. 1, 2.
This marks a really important time for us because we just don't have anything that's professional at this point. So this will be our first really legitimate production that hopefully can go a little farther than we can at the moment.
You got it? We started off faster, so let's try it again.
The songs that we chose were a bunch of our older songs that were written with more of an analog sound, not quite so digital, not quite so electronic. I think the fact that we chose this place with this old analog setup they have really was the right decision.
We were looking for studios, we were looking at minimum wage for a while. Possibly one of our friends to record us, and then this place, and kind of stumbled upon it and met Taylor and everything, and you know, it seemed like a right fit.
I'm Taylor Smith, and I was the engineer and mixing engineer for the silo effects. The studio is a good fit for the silo effect because it's mostly electronic jam band stuff, which can sometimes be pretty glitchy, but running it through the Atari radar and the nice analog board really helps round those notes out, and just gives it a more full feeling for the listener and for everyone.
Silo Effect is a good example of a new generation of bands that are incorporating traditional instruments into electronic music. We opened The Sound of Music in 1994.
And after hearing about the history of this place, I'm pretty sure we picked our best bet.
Some of our clients over the years include Daniel Johnston, Sparkle Horse, The Black Crowes, Liz Phair, Linus the Bear, Denali, Cracker, Camp Van Beethoven, Avail, Strike Anywhere.
I think it's cool. They have all the old reels here. There's some pretty decent people that recorded here. Told us the Black Crowes, Tea Leaf Green, some other new metal bands and stuff. Pretty much attracted to the same thing that we're attracted to as the board. But I don't. Cracker, you know Cracker.
Hanson, yep, don't forget them. Most major recording studios were located in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago. So we were lucky that Richmond, Virginia was a good rock and roll town, and we were able to start off with people that wanted to do organic sounding, mostly kind of analog recording.
The analog sound, I think, really just gives them the full-bodied sound that we're looking for, and just a little bit more vintage and not quite too digital, but with still those elements in there that are giving us the electronic drive that, you know, people have come to expect from the silo effect.
Is this to the click track? Yeah, oh,
Yam Fighter, you know, that song, it's been through a lot of changes. It's probably one of our first songs that we wrote, and the name Yam Fighter, I wish I could tell you what it meant.
Bar is like 16 measures.
So 16 right here.
Yeah, that's the end of a 16. Take it up a notch, you know, whatever.
It was 2007 when paths began to cross and the musicians who would eventually form the Silo Effect first met.
We started out of Oregon Hill. We got started just improvising in my house, my old house in Oregon Hill, and you know, various people would come over and jam, and throughout that year I pretty much met the right players to put a project together with, and it's just kind of exploded since then.
There was one particular Perpetual Groove show that took place in Richmond at the Canal Club, and afterwards I went to go hang out with a buddy of mine that I had met through various shows. His name's Chapin, and his roommate was Steve. And so I went over there, had never been over there before, and I heard music playing upstairs, and I was kind of like a dog to a scent. You know, I went straight up to the sound to see what was happening. I wanted to be a part of it. I opened up the door, and you know, the only thing that was missing was the drums. So I picked up the djembe, and we went into, you know, some really good jams.
Yeah, that was the first time I met Brian. Yeah, he brought his drums over the next day. Then he met all of us, Steve and I, and started jamming. Found out, you know, at then we weren't very good, but you know, we wanted to try and make something happen, and I think we're a case in point of if you want it bad enough, you can have it.
We've gone through a couple of players.
When I joined the Silo Effect, I was sought out after to fill some space that they felt needed to be filled. They wanted to take it a little bit more electronic and a little bit more dance-oriented, which all the grooves were there. They were just looking for some more samples and sort of the glitchy, futuristic sounds of a lot of the music these days.
We've been looking for a keyboard player for the past 2 years. At the time, we still had a guitar, the other guitar player, Carlos Fulgar, in here, and so we added Chinnery to the mix, and we got a big new sound added to the already huge sound that we already had, and from then on, it was just kind of like cleaning up the mess.
I think considering that we started when we started, we actually had a really fortunate situation where there was two really big local bands that were playing around town, The Grove and Existor, which were kind of more or less on the electronic side of things. And they both kind of disbanded around the same time, and there's not a lot going on in Richmond in that genre of music. So I think the people around here were kind of hungry for something a little bit more ethereal, something more spacious, type of like, you know, effects-filled soundscapes sort of things. And we were really well received the first couple of gigs that we played around town. People kept coming out, and you know, they obviously were enjoying it.
I knew about Silo Effect because they opened for a couple of shows that I went to, like the New Deal, and then I went to a show recently with them and Shaq, the band that I guess recorded. They were great. They were good progressive rock, electronica, jam band, just the stuff that I like to listen to and do.
We were hacking at it for a while. Now we're actually trying, I think.
Kasyapa is actually, the name comes from a story where the Buddha was telling the flower sermon. And as the story goes, the Buddha was giving a lecture or preaching on a mountainside, and for this particular lecture, all he did was hold up a flower, just held it. And Kasyapa was a monk sitting in the front row. And after about half an hour of just kind of sitting there without anybody really saying anything, he just smiled all of a sudden with this great moment of epiphany. And it was just that simple recognition, understanding that, that this song's kind of based on just that moment of breakthrough.
Nothing but possible movements of consciousness.
There's a vocal sample on this track that's actually derived from What the Bleep is. It's a movie on quantum mechanics. It's funny because it's a physicist talking about kind of a similar idea, a very similar idea of oneness that the Buddha was trying to illustrate in that same sermon. So it's really cool to see. I think that really says a lot about the time we live in, that science is starting to catch up with religion and vice versa. They're, what used to be two very separate establishments are starting to come together and see that they're not that different.
Possible movements of consciousness.
It's kind of like saying it, so if you didn't hear it during the
in case you didn't get it.
This is what we're really
if you're going to take anything away from this album, you know, like,
yeah.
you know.
I just thought that was kind of cool that two totally different fields had very similar things to say, and we kind of brought that together in this song.
My main concern is keep your cool when we're going back to the main verse, because I know it's building up into it, because we're going.
That's the thing. I'm thinking. You mean out of like the dance groove? Throughout the evolution of Silo, Flight has remained still one of my favorites to this day. It definitely symbolizes growth, you know, from beginning to end.
That song's more about ascension. I mean, it's really a story of expanding beyond what the realm of expectations are, kind of flight of the dog, something you don't expect to happen. Definitely a very natural, very organic story of growth, really. Probably my favorite one. It's really goes a lot of places, and we tried some things on this track that we've never tried before in or outside of the studio. So, and they worked out. Everything kind of came together. So, I'm really pleased with that track. I think it sounds really good.
Steve O is a really composed guy in the studio, and working with him in the band in general, I think he's also oftentimes one of the driving forces in terms of logic as opposed to feeling. He always offers a logical view onto what's happening, and he's not afraid to tell you his opinion, which is a good thing, ultimately. Whether it's a good one or a bad one, you get the truth out of him.
Steve's my buddy. He's a very, very sharp individual, very intelligent individual. He's the type of guy that knows what he wants, and he'll definitely stop at nothing until it's, you know, right on point, which is awesome. At the end of the day, I really respect that.
Yeah, Steve's an intense guy. You know, he probably wouldn't like this, but he is the enforcer in the band. You know, I'm more like the subtle nurturer way. I'm the softer way of getting his point across. Whereas, you know, he knows what he wants, and it's not bad at all. Steve it's a hard-working individual, and I'm lucky to have met him.
The thing I really like about him musically is not only does he have a good ear, but he's very well-versed, if you will. He comes at the music with a lot of different angles and a lot of different perspectives, and I like that, you know, because he's a bass player, but he's more than just a bass player, and he sings, and he has he goes to school for guitar, but he's playing bass in our band, and I think it's great. It just adds even more to our music to make it that much more interesting, you know?
I definitely don't consider myself the leader of the band. I'm sure to be guiding the intention behind the music. I definitely see my role there as especially as the lyricist, creating meaning for all this abstraction that we've created, to put some sort of human element back into it. I feel really privileged to have that role, and I'm definitely I hope these lyrics convey some big ideas, because that's what I'm going for.
He's good people, you know. He has a very good intention behind everything he does.
You wouldn't think he's the youngest in the band by any means, and likewise, you wouldn't think Rico's the oldest in the band by any means, but we're not going to touch on that too much.
Rico is a character. I mean, they're all characters. We're all nuts, for sure. But Rico's, man, he's out there. The kid brings such a spunk to the band. It's funny I say kid because he's the oldest member of the band. He's definitely got a different energy, though. He's wild, and we might not see eye to eye all the time. I'm much too literal, much too focused. He's definitely a big picture kind of guy, always coming at it from a different angle.
Rico's probably the youth spark in the band. He's got that energy and that excitement. It's like everything's brand new to him always. It seems like he's like a kid in a candy store with this whole thing, which is good, but we have to tame his urges at sometimes. He gets a bit too excited. As opposed to Steve, he's more impulse rather than logic, you know, but it's that healthy balance that we create with each other, you know, it all works out.
He's got a heart of gold, and he tries and he tries and he tries, and no matter how much it takes, he's going to do it, because he's just that kind of person. He's persistent. I think he had his license plate, actually. The one when we met him, we used to tease him, because it says, well, you'd probably read it preserver, or yeah, preserver, but it ended up being persevere, so we call him the Perseverance, or Star Child.
I think we help each other out a lot. I think we definitely complement each other's styles as far as musically, personality-wise. He's led me to see some things and vice versa. I think we've got a really good friendship going on.
Despite the close friendship between the members of the band, the demands of the session were beginning to put a strain on everyone. Plus, there was an unexpected issue. The air conditioning in the studio wasn't working during the 100-degree summer heat.
So we got here and the AC was broken.
Well, yeah, that was one thing we didn't really foresee, was coming in here and having absolutely no AC.
The air conditioning was cut off the day before, and we were all sweating our butts.
So improvised fans and stuff, and it's kind of added a little bit of tension in the room, and a little bit of well, somehow it just doesn't make things easier.
It made the first day a little difficult, for sure.
Even though detailed planning had been done prior to the session, the combination of stress, extreme heat, and the band's lack of studio experience was about to surface.
These song maps are great. You can see all the progressions of the entire song, get all the way through notes to everything about how it sounds, and every single instrument and how it should sound.
The thing that you do, man, it's like you'll be feeling it here, and then you'll go to the big beat and the tempo will change, just because it's not. I mean, you got your sheets with you. You should know the bar. You should know when.
The last few times, I got it. I just know.
If you're doubting it, just follow along. You know.
All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't.
Click track didn't work.
The first few times,
Okay. Felt comfortable. It was good.
Well,
with like this.
If Rico thinks he can do it, then let's try to do it.
Because it had improv Brian the first 2 times. The only reason it fell up was just because like
we need to.
Does it need to be louder? Like the click track, if we do the click track,
I just don't understand.
And I blasted it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first 2 times are fine.
No, I mean, everything's fine.
Yeah, it's like we can't say it's personal shit. It's not you.
I'll get frustrated now. It's frustrating, but we can remain calm. I'm not fazed by this, but I'd like it to be better.
I'm kind of at a loss. Like,
I mean, hey, we can listen to that.
It's not even your playing. It's just the fact that you don't know which
You don't know the
section
music,
comes
dude.
in
You don't know the
which
music.
Your playing is fine. Your playing sounds great.
Alright, well, let's run through it again.
Not right now. We're taking a break.
I need you to know exactly what the song is going to do. We just need him to know what's going on, dude. Because you can't seriously look at us for every change in the music.
Dude, I don't. Like, you have to understand, like, remember the last 2 practices we had, and even in here, like, I even told you guys, I wasn't really going to do that, but I thought you guys would give me, like, a different signal, as if you thought that's where the change was. I look at you or Steve, and you guys are like, you know, and I don't know, it just throws me off. Maybe I'll just stop looking at you all.
You just need to know what's on the piece of paper.
I do, man, but I don't fully understand all of it, man. You know what I'm saying? This is a great itinerary for you and Chinnery, but it's not doing me as much justice as it is you guys.
Why didn't you say anything last practice?
Don't you guys know that I don't like play piano or guitar, or I don't understand notes? I understand.
Is that our job to be able to baby you for that?
No, but if you had a different way of explaining it to me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I'm saying, Rico, there was. You know what I'm saying? Rico.
To me, I understand notes, but to me, that's his
preparation, man. You should have asked us, if you don't understand it, you should have asked us.
I do, but then Steve gets really pissed when I try to ask him.
Then ask me.
Right there, you know?
Ask me then. I'm not going to yell at you for trying to understand that, but I am going to yell at you for trying to understand it while we're supposed to be recording. That's all I'm saying, man. I don't think anything's come easy for this band. We've had a lot of tough times, and not a lot of people want to give us a lot of respect because, you know, for whatever reason. But the good thing is that, you know, we persevered and we're sticking to it.
That right there, would that be a cycle? If that's times 4, would that be 1? Yeah. Okay, so there's 3 more of what I just did, and then on to the cycle. Yeah. Right? Okay. So that's it. I mean, I know that. I don't know why I did that, and I'm really sorry. And it's
cool. All I'm saying is you've been hesitant on the changes all day, and it just leads me to believe that you didn't prepare well enough. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, I'm trying to, man, but just like, I mean, dude, the thing is, all I really need to know is like, it's very simple for me. Like, 2/3, like 80% of the stuff that's written down here, I really don't need to know. Like, you know, like, I don't know, like.
Well, let's not talk about what you don't need to know. Let's talk about what you do need to know.
All right, sections. We're good.
Taylor's making a phone call, so.
It's ideal to get in the first few takes, but if not, you just got to shrug it off and keep at it. And that's one big thing with this is that we learn we just got to stay persistent and keep at it.
Well, we learned a whole lot about what we can and can't do in the studio and what we have the capability to do as a band and our skill level at the moment. I had some issues with just nerves going in there and getting excited, and you know, people were kind of playing on top of each other, and some boundaries had to be established. We had to work out like you know, what would sound best. So I think once we got into it, it took a while. It took a couple hours to really get the sound down. We had some technical issues. I mean, the AC was busted, so that made it really tough for everybody. We had some problems with the headphone mixes, not being able to get those right. So it really took us about like 3 or 4 hours before we finally got a really good sounding mix. And then we were able to get some really good takes. It's funny, he was saying, Taylor, the sound guy, was telling us that a lot of bands will come in and hammer it out first takes, and they'll just totally have it done. But for us, our music's so improv-based, we had to work through a lot of just kind of feeling out the room and figuring out how we were going to react to each other, because every take's different when you're in an improv-based band. So with us, it wasn't that case. It was more like we play it 2 or 3 times, get mad at each other, you know, kind of shout it out and figure out what needs to be done, go back in there, and then towards the end of the day, that's when we were hitting all of our gem takes, all the really quality takes.
Perseverance was paying off as the band managed to record all the basic tracks for their tunes, but there was still lots of work to be done.
I could definitely be done with Concise Chapter by then.
So we're done with the drum kit, right?
Yeah, done.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I broke all that down.
Cool. Yeah, we're doing overdubs right now. We're starting with Flight of the Dog. Got a bunch of keyboard stuff to do for it. A bunch of different pads and sound effects that we want for this.
We're raging it. We're about to get ready to rage some studio overdubs.
Like right here, pull it back. Yeah, Taylor, pull it back right here. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
before that
we can fade that out before it makes it sore thumb.
Yeah. You want that one effect right here again?
Yeah.
Fill it in so like pretty much every beat's being hit.
So I like the hi-hat feel in this a lot. I feel like the bass kind of kicks a little too much though. I almost want the bass to be not apparent.
Yeah, you could replace the sample.
And even the beat itself, I feel like a few beats still need to be taken out.
All right, so we're just making the audio, the drum track for the beginning of Flight of the Dog. We're doing it down here because they're recording overdubs for Flight of the Dog, the guitar parts and the keyboard parts right now.
The bass drum hits that you have following one, take some of those out.
We might have to fill it in if we're going to do that.
Soon we'll be on to like Treehouse.
Well, I want to do vocals on any of those types of tracks
I'm
before we
ready to
do.
do vocals or whatever.
Before we do any overdubs.
Yo, Taylor, where do you think I'll be recording at?
Oh, for the vocals, yeah, the vocals are going to be in the isolate.
Oh, in the isolate. Sweet.
Way up in the trees, there is no sound. The sound is you and me in time.
Treehouse is cool. That's probably one of our first songs that we wrote, actually derived from an improv session at the Treehouse. My dad and I built this treehouse out in Rockville, Virginia, and the band's been able to get out there. There's a big deck set up, and we've been able to record some sessions out there, which is where the name for the album and the song, the whole idea came from, was this place. So we just wanted to reflect that feeling of being away from it all, up in the trees, and having all time is open to you.
Outside the band were finding out that Silo Effect was in the studio recording, so it wasn't long before they were dropping by to hang out, show their support, and be a part of the excitement.
Maddie's probably one of my favorite people to work with in terms of musically. I think he brings probably the most to our project at the moment. He's pretty much the musical driving force and has the most ideas.
Matt is the singer of the band. I mean, I sing vocally, but he's the singer. Like, he's a much better singer than I am.
Maddie, he definitely has a really good ear. He brings a nice color to the band.
When the band first came together, and he and I were just jamming at my old house back in Oregon Hill 3-4 years ago, he was a metal meister, man. He just used to shred and fly through these scales. As a matter of fact, when he was in high school, I'm pretty sure he'd learned like entire Dream Theater albums note for note.
I think he's putting in overtime right now.
I mean, he's just blossomed in a totally new way in the past 2 years. He's taken his time now.
He definitely knows how to hit all those sweet notes.
This can definitely get wild. This band is definitely trying to break the mold and get outside of predictable sounds. And I think, I'm not calling Matt predictable by any means, but I do believe that he's got the soul and he's just got the knowledge of the notes. He's got the technical aspect to tie it in and make it all make sense at the end of the day. We can be going crazy, but Matt can be just holding down the simplest little riff and it'll make the whole thing work.
Yeah, it's great working with that guy. He's a good guy all around. I've known Chinry the longest. We grew up in the same neck of the woods. He's always been a good buddy of mine, really good musician, good people. That's kind of how he came into the band, because I've known him for a while. We needed the sound of a keyboardist, and it was something that he'd been doing for the past few years, so we found a good fit.
Chinry struck me as a really crazy dude at first as well, but in a different way than Rico. Rico's more bouncing off the walls. Chinry's kind of a reserved guy. He won't let you in just too early.
Chinry joined the band back when we had a second guitar player. So for a while there was 5 people, and it got a little chaotic. And I think it might have been a little source of frustration. But whatever happened, Carlos left the band shortly after. It was just, I think, long story short, I think the sound was just too cluttered, and he knew it. So he moved on and kind of like decided to do his own thing. But with Chinry, and opened up the door for us to do much more electronic things. So now we've got the piano, we've got the organ, and a huge array of synthesizers and arpeggios and all sorts of crazy effects. He's stepped us up to the next level in versatility of sound. I think he definitely moved us places that we wouldn't have been able to go otherwise.
As the band tried to complete the overdubs, new challenges came up. They were running out of tracks and time.
Yeah, it's just only 2 mics to mic like 10 things.
When we need a solo, I mean, if the percussion has to get cut back, it's gonna.
Yeah.
But Rico hasn't treated it like it has been, so I don't know.
If we have to do like 2 drums to 1 mic, we can make it work.
Right now we're running into some issues with time. More so than not. It's what, 5 minutes till 11? We have till 12 technically. And they're trying to
always do overdubs tomorrow.
They're trying. No, I think we're obviously gonna have to.
Like
maybe for an hour or 2.
Yeah. If it's just us left, which I'm thinking we might even be able to get something of us. Granted, we don't.
I can knock out all the electronic stuff tonight.
Yeah.
We just gotta figure how many clicks you gotta get in before the actual song starts.
I just gotta time it. We're definitely going to do things differently next time now that we've had this experience and learned what it's like to come into a professional establishment. We're probably going to go the route of something a little less expensive, where we can actually take a little bit more time with it, because that was our biggest problem, was running out of time. I felt like we were kind of rushing through some of the parts. Some of the takes weren't as good as they could have been.
We're booked 12 to 12 again tomorrow, 3 days in a row. Tomorrow, it was supposed to be live sessions the first day, overdubs the second, and mixing on the third. But if we've got to delay, if we've got to overlap a little bit and do some of those overdubs tomorrow, That's what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah, he already left.
But we're gonna be here till midnight, man. You should come on out if you get a spare, like. I'm gonna overdo on Flight of the Dog after we drop the drum track. It's called Bread Bass, and it's just this really fat synth. Pretty much done. I just did some of the, we added another overdub sample to the end of Flight, and we added the MIDI bass. I think we might want to add some clap on one track, chimes for the end of Flight, and another keyboard patch, and that's it. We got like 3 or 4 more recordings to do, and get to mixing this bad boy, which is good because it's what, like 2? Yeah, it's not even 2 o'clock. We're doing great.
What's that? I gotta do one little flow on Kazyaba.
Is that it?
That's it. Done with all the overdubs. Now we're on to the mixing process, and time to make it an album now.
I mean, I don't know how much time it's gonna take to like kind of listen to it before we go into the mix. Yeah.
We're about to do all that, all for the rest of the day. That's all. That's all we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, we were just discussing how this album is shaping up to be more of a concept album than we had initially thought. We're tying in a bunch of themes from, you know, earlier songs, certain samples, and really the things coming together. It's got pretty much a uniform feel, but it just takes you a bunch of different places within that feel. It's I don't know. Rico, you got any words for it? I'm out of words right now.
I think what he said is awesome.
I mean, this is it. This CD is it. We've been waiting for this CD for years, like 2 years. We've known we've needed to do it, and we finally did it. I think if this CD doesn't get us in the door where we've fallen short in the past, I don't know what will. Honestly, this is a great depiction of what it is that we've done so far.
I feel like we really did what we set out to do.
Now that this is behind us, it's really good to finally, you know, take a sigh of relief and be like, yeah, we did it. It's there, you know, it's for you guys if you want to hear it.
Everything on these tracks are completely perfect, and this album is definitely going to take them a lot of places. I'm definitely happy to be a part of it.
Considering now we've written a bunch of new tunes and, you know, we're using a bunch of different new sounds in the music, it's becoming more exploratory, but at the same time it's still staying true to what we want to do. You know, it's still staying true to, I guess, the sound that we're after, the sound that we've finally pulled in, and we're still going to keep on working on it, no doubt.
Got a lot of material that's brand new and ready to get put down and recorded.
And I think towards the end of the CD, you can hear some of the sounds that we're going for nowadays. And hopefully it's, you know, just paving the road for what we're going to do in the future.
Someone once said, talent is meaningless. Persistence alone gets things done. Like so many young musicians before them, the members of Silo Effect are in full pursuit of their dreams and doing the hard work it takes to fulfill them. The Treehouse Session was just one step in their journey, but one they will never forget. One that will perhaps take them to higher places.